The International Monetary Fund (IMF) has forecast that Turkish gross domestic product, which is GDP, will grow by about 6% this year, which was more optimistic than some recent analysis expectations. Timothy Ash, a London-based senior emerging market strategist at Bluebessy Asset Management, said he expects real GDP growth of 2 to 3% for the Turkish economy. Similarly, a recent Reuters poll that was announced on January 18th predicted that Turkey's economy will grow by 4% in 2021. Pakistan has arrested the most wanted militant linked to the Zainabiyun Brigade, with the investigators saying he had received military training in neighboring Iran. The Zainabiyun Brigade was placed on the U.S. Treasury's financial blacklist in January 2019 and is believed to have sent young members of the Pakistani community to fight in Syria. According to Deputy Inspector General of the Counter-Terrorism Department, the arrested terrorist Abbas Jafri is a close aide of another most wanted terrorist, Yawar Abbas, and much like other members of the Zainabiyun Brigade, got his military training in neighboring Iran. Lebanon launched an electronic platform for citizens and residents wishing to receive the coronavirus vaccine. Meanwhile, protests over the full lockdown have spread to cities in the south of Lebanon considered as pro-Hezbollah and Amal movement. Demonstrations in Tripoli turned violent. A protester was killed and tens of people were injured during clashes with security forces that have continued for the fifth consecutive day. The kingdom's foreign minister received a member of Sudan's Sovereign Council at his office. Prince Faisal bin Farhan and Mohammed Al-Faki Suleiman reviewed bilateral relations as well as issues of common interest during their meeting in Riyadh. The prince hosted a lunch in honor of the member of the Sudanese Transitional Sovereign Council and his accompanying delegation. The meeting and lunch were also attended by Ahmed Abdelaziz Qattan, who is Saudi Minister of State for African Affairs. Dubai's Supreme Committee of Crisis and Disaster Management said pre-flight PCR tests will be required from all inbound visitors regardless of country of departure as of January 31st. The committee has also decreased the test's validity period to 72 hours from the 96 hours. Some visitors will also be required to do another PCR test upon arrival, dependent on their country of departure. Lebanese Central Bank Governor Riyad Salama has been charged with dereliction of duty and breach of trust. Judge Ghad Aoun also brought charges against a money exchange company for breaching an administrative regulation. Salama has headed Lebanon's central bank since 1993. Aoun had been investigating his management of dollars that were allocated for subsidizing basic goods. Scientists studying the long-term effects of the coronavirus disease COVID-19 infection and the persistent symptoms of other diseases such as Ebola have found similarities between the lasting impacts of the conditions. Similar to patients who suffer from long COVID-19, the term used to describe the myriad of lasting effects reported by those who recover from the disease. Survivors of the viral hemorrhagic fever, Ebola, and other such diseases also experience lingering symptoms, sometimes to the point of debilitation. In cases of Ebola, around 3 in every 4 survivors still experience symptoms a year or more after infection, with many reporting muscle and joint pain, fatigue, visual problems, and migraine-like headaches. A Russian security delegation inspected Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada airports on Thursday in preparation for the resumption of Russian flights to Egypt. The sources confirmed that the delegation's visit would continue until February 4th. The delegation will follow up on security and safety procedures carried out in travel and arrival halls to protect travelers from the risk of coronavirus infection. More than 13 types of inscriptions from ancient civilizations, mostly written in Arabic, have been found in the Arabian Peninsula. The inscriptions include writings in Palmyrene, Hebrew, Latin, Greek, Ancient Egyptian, and Babylonian, some of which will have been written by merchants or soldiers who came to Arabia for various reasons. The practice spread due to the people's need to codify their laws and trade contracts. Writing started off as drawings, then symbols and syllables, before taking on the form of an alphabet. When marine biologist Stuart Sandin talks about sharks, it sounds like he is describing genius of the ocean. They are terrific predators, fast swimmers, and they have amazing senses. They can detect any disturbance in the ocean from great distance, such as smells or tiny changes in water currents. Their ability to quickly sense anything outside the norm in their environment helps them find prey in the vastness of the open ocean. But it also makes them especially vulnerable in the face of increased international fishing pressure, as global fishing fleets have doubled since 1950. Manipur is planning to develop war tourism in the state by preserving the historic Korinji in Impal, which is an old airfield in the northeast state. According to the Times of India newspaper, the state government is working to acquire the airport from the Ministry of Defense so as to fulfill this war tourism plan. According to Manipur Chief Minister, the state government is planning to relocate the units of the Mountain Division of the Indian Army currently deployed in the field to another site. Foreign tourist arrivals into Thailand plunged to the lowest level in at least 12 years due to the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the travel and aviation industry across the globe. Tourist arrivals slumped to 6.7 million in 2020 from 39.9 million a year earlier, data from the Ministry of Tourism and Sports showed Monday. That's the lowest number of visitors to the country since at least 2008. According to Bloomberg, arrivals in December totaled 6,556 compared with 3.95 million during the same period a year earlier. A new study published on January 25th in the journal The Cryosphere revealed that the rate at which ice is disappearing across the planet is speeding up. The Earth lost 28 trillion tons of ice between 1994 and 2017, equivalent to a sheet of ice 100 kilometers thick covering the whole of the UK. The research team led by the University of Leeds found that the rate of ice loss from the Earth has increased markedly within the past 3 decades, from 0.8 trillion tons per year in the 1990s to 1.3 trillion tons per year by 2017. This team is the first to carry out a survey of global ice loss using satellite data. More than a century after it first cruised the glittering waters of the Nile, the steamship Sudan draws tourists following the trail of legendary crime novelist Agatha Christie. The SS Sudan, which towers over the traditional wooden sailing ports in Egypt's southern city of Aswan, inspired the British author, sometimes dubbed the Queen of Crime, to pen one of her most famous works in 1937, Death on the Nile. The whodunit tells the story of Christie's famous Belgian detective Hercule Poirot investigating murder among the well-heeled travelers as they cruised the Nile. 8 days into her new role, Jill Biden signaled Monday that she will be a more active First Lady with a trio of virtual appearances before governors' spouses, young Latinos, and library officials. She also used the meetings to promote President Joe Biden's call for national unity and his $1.9 trillion pandemic relief proposal, which is facing resistance from some Republican lawmakers. Jill Biden's early moves seemed designed to signal that she intends to be more active than her predecessor, Melania Trump. Mrs. Trump often allowed weeks to pass between her public appearances. Hale Regional Museum has been garnering more attention since it was highlighted among the Saudi Winters list of private sector tourist sites. The museum, whose identity is influenced by the Hale urban and heritage identity, is home to antiquities and its other historical items from the governorate. They are displayed according to their chronological sequence, starting with the prehistoric era, then the epoch of the first civilizations that settled in each region, and finally with the modern era. The historically comprehensive exhibit features various crafts and traditional industries, and it's designed to attract audience of all ages.